Okay. Hope everybody can see. I've lost. Every week I forget how to work on Zoom. Just a second. Give me 1 minute. Where is the Zoom? Here we are. All right, everybody. I think we are live streaming. And so welcome everybody and welcome to this session. And so happy to be back with my voice and a very warm welcome to all of you. And today's session is only all about talking about the wonderful miracles that happened to us before, during, after the trips that we recently made. There's a whole bunch of us, and because my voice was not working last Saturday, you heard from a few people the miracles that happened to them. If today anybody would like to share some stories as I go along, and you feel that you wish to share your story as well about the miracles, or if you came with me to Indore, if you came with me to Ujjain, if you came with me to Aurangabad, which happened immediately after Ujjain, but it was a much, much smaller group. I'll talk about the stories of that day as well. Each day just, brings so many miracles with it that whatever we can kind of record, this is just a recording session, because as we keep moving along, we keep forgetting. Miracles happen so much. Every moment a breath, every moment a miracle. And that's how it happens, that we just generally keep forgetting how much wonderful stuff is happening to us. And so after any of these big, huge energy, gatherings are done, we just want to kind of record all the people, all the miracles that everybody has seen. So if you find that you witnessed a miracle and you would like to share it with us, please do so. We'd be most happy to hear about it and to hear and to be a part of the sharing. Many people write to me one-on-one and they don't share it larger piece. So this is your platform as much as it is mine, and it would be lovely if you would share over here as well for more people to understand how easy it is for us to be in the frequency of miracles. So anyways, so starting off with the topic of Ujjain itself, Mahakaal. This name had come to me sometime last year, that I have to go to Ujjain, I have to go to Mahakaal. And everybody talks about the Jyotirling and how much energy there is and how much we receive. And this is such a stunning, Jyotirling that it is there. There's so much energy over there and everybody talks about it. And I simply just one day got this name. Okay, I have to go to Ujjain. I have to go to be at the Jyotirling. And I said, okay, we will make some plans. By the time I was even able to get to the plans, how the days are already kind of planned for in such a way that if I got the message last year, I could only kind of think about it. Okay, we will go over there in September on Mani's birthday. And so we had about 6 to 7 months to prepare for it. But not much was happening. The only thing that was happening was that I'd put the feelers out there, and the number of people who wanted to come along with me, there were kind of 100 people who wanted to come along with me. And I said, okay, whoever wants to come, we will keep entertaining till the days are here to kind of finalize and then get into the program. So things were just moving along. In the middle, people, were going to different places. Badrinath happened, Kedarnath happened, all of that. And this Ujjain trip is still on my mind, and we are still preparing for it. But as we got closer to the dates, and then we started to kind of, hone down on the group that is going to be there. As the group started to come together, and I'm looking at it, and suddenly somebody suggested, oh, if you're going to Ujjain, you must go for the Bhasma Aarti. Okay, we'll go for the Bhasma Aarti. I'm always saying, theek hai, dekh lenge kya hoga, Bhasma Aarti. But then as soon as the Bhasma Aarti name was taken, this external action, this external triggers of people, they just started to churn and churn. Somebody was like, oh, you can't do this. You have to wear a sari. You can't wear a skirt. You can't be, dressed like this. You have to be dressed like that. You have to stand out in the line for 2 hours. You have to do this. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're not allowed for the Bhasma Aarti. Whenever I listen to anything that has so many rules and regulations attached to it, there is always this one side of me, these days especially, that wakes up and says, if the path is not filled with ease and grace, it's not really the path. Because the path is always filled with ease and grace. You can't do this, you can't do that, you have to be in line for these many hours, you have to do this, you have to do that. All of these rules and regulations, somewhere something tells me that, this is not really the path. But everybody's like, okay, if you have to go to Ujjain, then Bhasma Aarti it is. We are going to get to be part of the Bhasma Aarti. And so many people kind of also started to come through saying, okay, there is this way to go there, and there is, you can fill up the online forms, or you can tell some pandit, or you can be with some pandit, and all of that. And then, so somebody's writing something, I'll get to it later about the comments. And then people are suggesting many different ways, and I call it ease and grace. There's not just one path, there's one official path, and there are 10 unofficial paths. And I say even those 10 unofficial paths, the earlier Meenal would have very much judged those unofficial paths, saying, oh, why would we have to do that? Why can we, how can we do this? How can we do that? We should not go through any other path but the one that is official. And now I understand, when even people are given several different paths to go through, everything is all about, are you feeling the ease and grace, or are you feeling the burden of doing something that is not meant to be done? Because everything is just an action. And what action are we going to move from? So when somebody said, oh, they know somebody and maybe that somebody can get us into the Aarti, I said, yeah, sure, go ahead, find out whatever is the path. If we have to be there in that temple at that time, we'll be there. And then a list started of all the people who wanted to attend that Aarti. When it came to putting down my name on the list, I kind of checked with Mani. And I said, what is it about Bhasma Aarti that I need to attend? And Mani said, wherever you go, whenever you go, this Bhasma Aarti is a morning time, okay? It's a time between 4 to 6, and then that's where you have to be. But Mani said, whenever you go, wherever you go, however you go, whatever time you go, Shiva will give you whatever he needs to give. He is not bound by time, and neither are you. And knowing that, I didn't put my name on the Bhasma Aarti list. I did not put my name. When my mother said that she will also come along with us to Ujjain, in that list, I actually put her name, but I didn't put mine. I put her name. Many people are very keen to go to this Aarti. They think that they will receive, and there was a list being made. And then, okay, if that's the list being made, then, they will receive something. It's not like they will not receive. I will not receive is a different story, but everybody will receive something out of it. Some enjoyment, some masti, some different kind of an experience. Whatever it is, they will receive. And so I put my mother's name down there because I was guided to, but I didn't put my name over there. And then I didn't put my name. Somebody asked me, why aren't you putting your name or some such thing? And then somebody else, without even asking me, they put my name in there. They said, Jayenge to sare saath jayenge. We'll all go together in this. And I looked at my name on the list and I checked within. And there was no feeling. There was no feeling of, oh no, I shouldn't go, or I don't have anything. Why should I go? I've been told. So I didn't feel anything at all. This place over here was calm as hell. So I said, okay, if it is all that calm, let me keep my name over there. And the name stayed. Over the many months that followed, people were just going crazy. Oh, there's this way that we can go there. We have to give extra 1,500. And then people are calling that person saying, extra 1,500. Are you sure that we have to go there? Are you sure that it's 1,500? My Pandit is saying something different, and this is not going to be allowed, and that is not going to be allowed. And I'm just looking at all of this natak that has suddenly started in the name of 1,500. in the name of 1500. And there is all of this natak. And there is me who says whether money comes and money doesn't come, whether money goes or money doesn't go. Do not look at money. Do not even look at it. No, I looked at it and I thought I was okay with it. But after being okay with it, I thought that I should ask these people, are you sure you want 1500? Okay, then if that question wasn't meant for you, it was definitely meant to trigger that other person. And so all of this drama with money received, with money taken, with promises of services offered, all of this natak started to happen. And I'm just simply looking at it and laughing. One day, finally, that man must have called me, the one who was trying to arrange for things, and said, what about this? What if all of this money goes and then I can't get you the darshan? Then is it okay? Because this money might go and we might not get the darshan. And I just burst out laughing. And I said, really, if you take whatever money from me and it doesn't go towards anything, it just goes to the Pandit. I know that it was meant to go to the Pandit. If it goes to the authorities, whichever authorities, I know that it was meant to go there. If it is meant to go there, I am going to give it with ease and grace. I'm going to give it with a blessed heart. I'm going to give it with blessings that wherever this money goes, may it bring joy and abundance. And that quietened a lot of people down. That energy quietened a lot of people down. And they became okay to spending 1500 bucks without an outcome attached to it. So do we even know all the places where we are attaching outcomes? How beautifully, somebody has promised this and they've taken extra money from us. And how easily we walk into these stories. Well, as money would have it, indeed, we were all to get the darshan. Everybody who had signed up were to get the darshan. And so on that day, now it is that we will be, the Pandit, the first thing that happened was that, we have to go and do this darshan and we will be allowed to sit inside. And then the message came, no, the inside part is closed only. So nobody is going to be allowed inside. And I'm just laughing because anybody who thinks that when you go to a temple, and this is for all of us, these stories for all of us who ever visit a temple, if any of you are fond of visiting temples and fond of going and getting something over there, what if you didn't get to see the main idol? It is so beautiful because I remember many, many years ago when we would go to see Vaishno Devi and we didn't know that there was no idol to be seen. It was just 3 little pieces of rock that were the Devi. And then there was nobody even to tell you. Sometimes there was so much of mob that even the crowds wouldn't tell you that, okay, those pieces of rock is the Devi. And that's where you have to look at. And sometimes we'd come out and be like, oh, I didn't get to see anything only. And though you've gone and you've done the entire ritual and you've been through the whole place and you've done everything. And yet when you come out saying, oh, I didn't receive, guess what's happening? You're totally right. In that moment itself, whatever energy you had received, you were meant to receive. All of that energy is like, okay, this person is saying they haven't received. This energy has no use for them. And we, by thinking in such a limited manner, are actually creating that reality for us. The energies are there for everyone, everywhere to receive. People ask me, if there is so much of energy to be received everywhere, why do you even go to these temples? Why do you go to any place at all? And I say, I don't go. Only if I'm guided to go, I go. I'm not fond of going. It's not a religious calling that is calling me. I don't even know which all energies are calling me and where they are calling me. But I don't know. Money knows. And so money tells me you have to go there. That name drops in and I go over there. And 90% of the times where I go, if I go to Ujjain, if I go to Mahakaal, it's not at the Mahakaal temple that I will be receiving something, because that's not really the place where the energy is. And I always tell people, be open to receiving, and where we will go, where we will receive something, I don't know. So I actually move around the temple like this. I'm like an antenna, like the whole body of mine is an antenna. And people are like, okay, where are we going next? And I'm like, I have no idea. And so even at Ujjain, when we walked in over there, and the first thing, oh my God, there was a mob of, I don't know how many people. There must have been 400 people in that space. Nobody had a place to sit, and yet we all managed to sit, and everybody found their spaces. It was so beautiful, that miracles of even finding, if somebody needs to put their feet down, they found the place to put the feet down. If somebody, one of our people, if they had only that much to, they only needed to stand on one foot, they were only given that one foot to stand on. They weren't given both the feet to stand on. So everybody received whatever was right for them. And as I say, it was only an experience. None of them, none of us died. We managed to live through that experience and to experience whatever we wanted to experience. When I walked in over there in that mob of 400, and I'm trying to find a place, and it was so beautiful that even before we walked in, the Pandit had specifically told me, you please walk straight. Don't go to the sides. Don't go to the sides. As I'm walking straight, with me was Yash right at the back, and he says, oh, there's so much space on the side. Let's go to the side. I don't know how many people heard that, but I definitely heard that. And as I heard that, I moved to the side. And the vision that we were to have of Mahakaal was only right if you walked in the front. Everybody else on the side didn't have the vision of the temple and what was happening inside the temple. We all had the vision of what was happening inside, because there were large TV screens put up. There were large TV screens. So everybody got to watch what was happening inside. But even though the Pandit said, sit in the front, Mani said, through Yash, in that moment, don't sit in the front. And so I didn't sit in the front. I went to the side and I parked myself over there. As soon as I looked around and I said, okay, now that I'm here, okay, Mani, what am I here to receive? I asked him that first moment, what am I here to receive? And it was hilarious, because the first answer that he gave to me was, oh, you, nothing at all. And for a moment, I was like, I've been standing in line for 2 hours. I'm going to be sitting here for 2 hours, and I'm going to receive nothing. And Mani said, yeah, I said, why am I here then? Why am I even here at this place if I'm not here to receive anything? And Mani said, you know how parents are? Their children want to go to the park every day at 4 o'clock. They want to go and sit in the same swing. And they go and sit on the swing, and they really enjoy doing this. What does the parent do? The parent sits over there and gets bored. That's your job over here. You'll just sit over here and get bored, and that's all. You're not going to receive anything over here. So all is wonderful. Okay, now that we are there and we have to get bored, I just sat. Around me, people were sitting. I sat with my eyes closed. I sat with my eyes open. I looked around. I was looking at the television. I was looking at the people. I was just having fun internally. And I was completely, so far, at peace. I was, completely okay with it. What had happened in the days preceding, and I've talked about this in other webinars as well, but just before we got to Ujjain, at least a month before that, what started to happen was, suddenly I was being called to the Nag frequency, to the serpent frequency. And this has happened before, but at a very, at a very minimal level, that I've been given understandings. And one of the first times was 2017, when I was writing a guidance, and suddenly in the guidance, a line popped up from nowhere. A line popped up saying, don't be afraid of snakes. Don't be afraid of snakes. Now, it's a very strange line to get in your guidance. Don't be afraid of snakes. As if, every day I go and say hi, hello to some snakes or something. How will I know if I've left my fear towards the snake or not? But whatever it meant, I said, okay, I allow myself to be not afraid of snakes. And that was that. It said to me two things, actually. One was, don't be afraid of snakes. This was 2017. Don't be afraid of snakes, and don't be afraid of aliens. Aliens. Don't be afraid of aliens. As if I'm, again, going around for a walk in the park and I'm going to bump into 5 aliens and I'll run away from them. But don't be afraid of aliens. So I was like, okay, what do I need to understand about this? What do I need to understand? And at that time, the understanding came about aliens. And I've shared this many a times before. Who are aliens? The people who are not resonating at earth frequency, because they don't belong to the earth. And so those who are not resonating at earth frequency, anyone who's not resonating at earth frequency, what would you term them as? Alien. And so I was like, okay, they are aliens. Then what does it mean? Then it took me to my own experiences. I had a fracture. Many of you have heard this story. I had a fracture, and as soon as the fracture happened, and I asked in guidance, what am I to do? And the answer came, nothing. And, I didn't even go to the hospital. I didn't get my foot into the cast because guidance had come saying, acha rehne do. So I didn't go. And then my foot, from a triple fracture, it wasn't a single fracture, the triple fracture, my foot actually became better in 4 days. And I only listened to guidance and whatever the guidance did, but I had no intent out there that my foot should repair. I was like, okay, if the guidance is telling me to not go, it must be for a purpose. And I don't know what the purpose is. The purpose might be to teach me something. But there was pain all through those 3 days. There was pain, but I bore through the pain, and I just said, okay, guidance has said now finally not to go there. So let's see what happens. Well, what happened was this: my foot got repaired in 4 days. And so at this point in time, when I was saying alien frequency, kya hai to ye, something, what do you mean by alien? I should not be scared of alien. And Mani is like, on earth, how much time does it take for your foot to get repaired? I was like, okay, 6 weeks. And he said, yeah. And you started walking on the 4th day. What do you think? You're an earthling or what? So it's a game of frequencies. And the minute we cross over to frequencies of oneness, now oneness is not what we came to experience on earth. So if we are going to experience oneness that much, we don't belong to the earth. We came to the earth to experience duality, separation. This is me, that is you. We didn't come here to experience oneness. But if you are playing in oneness, then who are you? Well, you are the alien. And so I even laugh, because when people say, no, I'm scared of aliens and I'm scared of this, and I laugh because I say, well, have you ever tuned into menial frequency? And they say, yeah, every day. I'm like, so sorry to let you know that you are the alien, because it's all about the frequency. When you are in the frequency of menial, you already are on frequencies that don't belong to the earth. You are tuning in more and more into the oneness frequencies. So this was 2017. And then somewhere else in the middle, one day, again, when the story had come up like this, and I was shown that the serpent consciousness is so amazingly beautiful, because the serpent is somebody that can change their largest organ. They can let go of their largest organ, which is the skin. And so I started to, understand a little bit more about the serpent frequency. And along with the serpent frequency, what was told to me was, take a look. You, the purest form of you, is in you as the serpent form, the Kundalini. The Kundalini is our energy. It is the source. And so I've had this conversation before in yet another webinar of mine as well. But just to continue and to make it complete, all of this stuff of bringing me to the serpent frequency started to happen even before we started our travels towards Ujjain. It happened almost a month before that. I was being guided constantly to go into the serpent frequency. And in the night, I would, put up any chant, whatever would come to me, I would put that chant up to be able to, invoke the invocation of Nag and stuff like that. So I was doing all of that stuff over the last 1 month. When all of these people were fighting about Bhasma Arti, yes, Bhasma Arti, no. One day, as I was sitting and I was looking at all of these chats, and Mani said, there is nothing that you will receive. So he actually already told me, there is nothing that you will receive at the Bhasma Arti. There is nothing, but I will show you the place where you will receive something. I will show you that place where you will receive something. That's why you are going to Ujjain. You are not going for the temple inside, for the arti inside, but I will show you where it is the energy that is at Mahakaal that you are going to pick up. And so about 4 days or 5 days before we were to, leave for Ujjain, I was just one day sitting and meditating, and I was shown that I was told that when you go to Ujjain, you are going to see a large serpent, a very, very large serpent you will see, and you have to go to that serpent and you have to take the energy from that. I have no clue what Ujjain or Mahakaal looks like. And my assumption was that somewhere around in the temple itself, there will be some large serpent, and it's a Shiva temple. So I expected to find a large serpent someplace. As we walked in itself, as we were walking, they have made this beautiful Ujjain Corridor. And it's filled with all of these, there are many idols over there, very large size idols over there. But I'm walking with my head down, and I lift my head because it's raining, so my head is a little bit down. But as we start to walk towards the corridor, and I look up, and the first thing that I see about the temple is this beautiful, amazing, large picture, such a large picture of a snake. It's the Sheshnag. It's the Sheshnag. And all that I can see is the top part, and it's the Sheshnag. But as soon as I looked at it, this line came from me. This line came up to tell me. And the line that came was, Are, mere to darshan ho gaye. So I understood that this is the place that I was supposed to come to. And this is where the darshan is meant to be. Because as soon as I looked at it, the line automatically came to me, Are, mere to darshan ho gaye. My darshan is complete now. And after that, there was another 2-hour wait to get into the Mahakaal and all of that story later that I'm not going to receive anything from inside. So I knew that once all of this was over, I just had to go to that place. I had to go to that place. And that is where I would be receiving whatever I was meant to receive. After all of this was done, after the entire 2 hours were done, and the room was great, there was so much of devotion that you could see in the room. So it's two different things. One is what you see from the people around, and they have so much of devotion, and they have come to express that to Shiva. And there was so much of love from them to Shiva that is flowing. And there is that love frequency. And then there's the other side. That love frequency I already have. So it's not like I'm receiving something new over there. And that's the story I understand when I'm constantly shown, okay, now now your energy is to this frequency. Why am I taken to these places? Whenever we go close to a station, we catch that frequency better, right? Whenever we are in a range of catching a radio station, then as we come closer to a town or something, we catch that station better because now we are closer to the transmission towers. And that's all there is to it. It's not like if I sit at my house and never go anywhere, that I will not be receiving the energy. But this is an external stimulus. It's just being given to make us make a deeper connect into that energy at a faster pace, with so much ease and grace. So as as all of this was happening, as the story inside the puja room, inside that temple room, everybody was in, so much in that devotion state. And I'm looking at all the energy and I'm sitting over there and enjoying. But when it finished, I was like, okay, I can move now. And there's nothing, everybody said, okay, you can be in the line and you can take darshan, but there is nothing for me to do darshan over there. So I said, no, I'm done. And I immediately moved out. And then when the group of people who were with me, when they collected together, now I started my quest for where is the energy that I need to go to, what is happening. As we moved around, just behind the main Mahakaal, there are many, many shivlings here and there, small places. And again, we started to make our way to the exit. And as it happens, it has happened many a time. So I'm no longer even surprised that it happens. But we are walking towards the exit and my feet start to go in another direction. And people like, Meenal, this is the way for the exit. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know that this is the way for the exit. I was moving over there, but I'm being taken to the side. So I'm just going to go take a look at what's there. Many different shivlings, but there was one particular shivling. I went and stood over there and I got a calling saying, many can receive from here as well. So I stood over there, I received whatever I needed to receive. And then everybody else was also standing and they said, wow, we can feel the energy over here. We can really feel the energy over here. And this sentence came to my mouth, yes, you can, but this is not what we came to pick up. This is still not. We've picked up something from here, but this is not what we came to pick up. We moved forward and then we are trying to get to that snake that I saw, the Sheshnag, the head, and I can see that it's outside in the corridor. And so through some, this way and that way, and we lost our way even to get there. And then finally we got there. As soon as we got there, oh man, what amazing energy I could feel. And so to understand that when we are called to a place, to a temple place, to anything, wherever the energy has worked on, if we are listening within, we get guided to that spot. If we are looking at the outside, we get guided to some outside spots wherever people are collecting. Normally in a mandir, the energy inside that little garbhagriha, normally what the name for that place is, normally inside the garbhagriha, the energy belongs to the pandits. The energy belongs to the environment. And so what are most people coming to the temple with? They're coming with a long list of want this, want that, Bhagwan bas ye karwa dena, Bhagwan wo karwa dena. Or even the pandits, okay, we've got this, we will offer this for you, we'll do this puja for you, we'll do that puja for you. And then you give us something as per whatever you feel. But what is all of that energy playing in? All of us who now understand how to read energies, if we don't just simply look at the outside and get caught up in that, the only energy that is being offered over there, largely by the pandits, is that of lack. And so there's a stone, but there is so much of energy all around it, which is all of lack. And that's where, that's where the outside eyes will continue to take us to and play with. But when we are looking inside and we know that we will be guided from the inside for wherever we have to go. What if I didn't receive anything from there? That's okay. If I've been called to Mahakaal, it must be for a purpose. If I've been called to that corridor, it must be for a purpose. I will receive whatever I need to receive. And so I stood over there and I lost myself. It was totally amazing to just even watch, because when I went close to it, it wasn't just the Sheshnag. It was beautiful because it was a huge Sheshnag. And when I'm done with this webinar, when I put it up for a record, I'll take out a picture and I'll put a picture of it in this place so that, people who have not seen that Sheshnag can see it. The beautiful, amazing place with a Sheshnag, and underneath the Sheshnag, underneath it, sits the Shiva, sits the Shiva. And I looked at it and I said, okay, what is to be received? And they said, not the energy of Shiva, that frequency of Shiva, which is non-judgment, that you already are. The snake that is on top of the Shiva. This snake, this serpent that that you are seeing right now, which is sitting on Shiva, that's the place from where even this Shiva is receiving his frequency from. That is the source, that is the place. And so as we looked, as I looked at that, this time, for the first time, my focus was on the Sheshnag and not on the Shiva. For the first time, I actually even saw, and this is what I said to Mani, I was like, wow, isn't this beautiful? I have never seen, a Shiva under the Sheshnag. You always see a Vishnu lying over it. I've never seen, at least in my, I've never even paid attention to the Nag. And over here, this beautiful, amazing place, and I'm seeing the Naga, and I'm receiving so much energy from it. And as I received, and I was totally in a trance by then. And then, as it happens at most places, if there is to be, if there is energy to be received, then I'm literally guided, not even guided, I am forced to do a full Sashtang Dandvat, the full prostrate in front of that. Now this corridor, this corridor is not a covered corridor. And really, when we are walking through it, it's a passage. And the passage is filled with footsteps, and it's been raining, so it's filled with keychad, and it's got everything happening on the ground over there. But I get totally pushed. So as I keep walking back, there are my people who are around. So they, with my group, so they just keep making space for me. But as soon as enough space is made for me, I go, tang, right there, and full prostration. So as I do this Ashtang Dandvat, to this, I can feel the energy in my entire body, because in that way, my entire body becomes the receiver. It becomes the receiver for the energy that wants to come to me. And so I become this full receiver for it. Every part of my body is touching the ground, and the energy is coming from the ground into me. And so that happened. And when I got up, and any of you who attended the webinar last time, Amit was sharing the story, because he didn't attend the morning Aarti. And by the time he came, he actually only came when I was right in front of this beautiful statue. And as I was taking the energy, but he was seeing me for the first time that day. So he immediately came forward and he touched my feet. Now I hadn't even fully come back to myself, because there was so much energy that the head is always woozy when I get up from there. And most of the times I say, it's like being drunk. This is the best way to get drunk. Paisa bhi nahi laga, and you operate from a fully drunken space. So I was totally sitting in the place of, not even knowing whether I'm standing, what's happening. I'm all woozy inside with all the energy. And as I get up, Amit comes and touches my feet. And I don't know what happened to him, but when he shared last time, he said it was like a current of 40,000 volts, because I've just gotten up from that space and I haven't even kind of, absorbed that energy fully. And so it's still working on me. And he got that big jhatka, aram se. So he experienced that, whatever I was going through. So anyways, I finished, somebody's writing. Okay. So Sandeep has shared a file in the meeting, and all of you, whatever he has shared, maybe he's shared the, I don't know where the file shows up. Oh, it shows up in the chats. Okay. So Sandeep has just shared the Sheshnag Shiva. He's shared the picture of it for everybody who is interested in taking a look at it. Please do go take a look. It is magnificent. It is beautiful and it has got such amazing energies. Even when you look at it, you will receive it. All right. So anyway, so we moved forward from there. And then, of course, there was not much. Then I understood that this is the place I had come for. This is what I had come to receive, and I had received it. And it was so, it was just totally, totally mind blowing. And after that, the work was done. And after that, we went off the next day. Many people even went to visit with the Omkareshwar, but I got no guidance to go over there. And so I was totally done with my Ujjain trip is done, and I have received whatever I have to receive. I had to receive from that source. In the meanwhile, many people shared about their experiences, similar experiences. And this is the beauty of being in the same frequency band. Even as I told people about my experiences that are calling me out to the Nag frequency and what understandings I have, many people said they were already being guided to those similar chants. They were being guided to be in the Naga frequency or turn on a Naga chant or something without even knowing what it means. So beautiful that the information was coming to them already because they're in the same band as the frequency of knowing. They sit in the frequency of understandings, and so they were also receiving. And then just yesterday, and it is so beautiful, I will also talk about something, how we receive and how we are ready to receive, and sometimes when we are not so ready to receive. So just yesterday, Yash was sharing with me, and Yash lives here with me. And so, of course, when the Naga started to call out to me, I had already been ordering all kinds of snake rings, all kinds of snake rings. And then suddenly I also started to get gifts from people, snake rings. And so I was looking at that and I was just laughing, saying, okay, all this while it was only butterflies. And now it is also the snakes. The only thing that I told Mani was, Mani, it's okay that you send me butterflies everywhere. No, please don't start sending me snakes. I don't think I can handle it. I'm not that much in oneness with the snakes as yet. I'm in oneness with butterflies. You keep sending me butterflies, but not so much snake. Like, pata chale ki, in the house, there are like snakes everywhere or something. And here is the one funny thing that happened. On the morning of Ujjain, when we are getting into the flight, so it was a morning flight, and I got up in the morning, and this is another story that has come to tell, of course. So I get up in the morning, and it's about, 6 o'clock. My flight, I have to be out at 8, so I get up at 6. And as I'm waking up and walking towards, I have this vision. That there is a snake that is walking with me. There's a snake that's kind of crawling with me. I'm only going from my bed to the bathroom, but I have this vision that there is a snake that's crawling with me. And I know that it's not there in real, but I can see that there's a snake in my vision. And I asked Mani, what am I seeing? What am I supposed to make out from this? What am I seeing? And in that minute, Mani says to me, your shadow. You're seeing your shadow. And for a minute, I had kind of like a little tiny bit of a heart attack, because I was like, really? Oh my God, am I going to start looking like a snake? So judgment on the snake, I have to release. And I did a little bit of work on releasing the judgment of this animal is pretty and this animal is not pretty. This animal looks good and this animal doesn't look good. There are many people who find the snake form so beautiful. Well, I'm not there. So immediately, as Mani said to me, this is your shadow, it took me a little bit of little bit of a time, a few minutes to be okay with that, yeah, this is my shadow, because it's not what I'm looking like, but this is what my frequency is today. And that frequency of the highest consciousness, which is the Kundalini, the source of it, the source, the energy source is the serpent. We are all looking at frequencies. Every Devi is a frequency. I always remind you, Shiva is the frequency of non-judgment, doesn't judge anything. The Kali is the frequency of manifestations. The Durga is the frequency of mother. Mani is the frequency of father. Hanuman, RK, frequency of surrender. But now we are moving from the frequency to a state, to a state even behind that, even underneath that, the layer, which is the source itself, because all of the frequencies play, but there is the entire energy source itself. So that place is that Kundalini space, the center being that serpent space, the energy that we are hitting. And so as I was walking, and then I kind of said, okay, I'm the snake energy right now. I allow, I accept. And then it's a funny thing, because I go and I sit on the throne, I sit on the pot, and the first thing that I notice is that right by this thing, you have that jet, that you use with the throne, with your throat, and the jet is totally looking like the snake to me. I'm like, oh my God, we are covered. The bathroom is covered. It's filled with snakes. Even in the shower, there is that whole snake with which we take a shower, and that's the hand shower. So I was just laughing to myself. But again, it is so beautiful, because when we become aware, the presence shows itself to us in so many different ways. When we become aware, the presence shows itself to us through a butterfly, and we begin to see butterflies everywhere. The butterflies appear to us in so many different forms, and we begin to see butterflies everywhere. And the same thing was now happening to me, that when I was sitting in the awareness of the presence, then snake was being shown to me everywhere. And then as I was starting to get ready, and I was just getting ready, and this one line comes to me. And the line is so crazy that I know that it couldn't have come from me. It was coming to me. And the line was, I give energy to the sun. I give energy to the sun. And for a minute, when this line came to me, as I repeated the line, as I kind of thought about the line, I said, really? I give energy to the sun? How can that even be possible? That's not, sun gives energy to us. We are alive because of the sun. The sun, if it was not to shine or whatever, the plants wouldn't be there. They would all die. But the line came again very categorically. I give energy to the sun. And so I repeated that line a few times to myself. I give energy to the sun. I give energy to the sun. And then Mani said to me, the sun, what is it? What is the sun? It's a dying star. The sun is a dying star. It's just a star, like many, many stars that we have around. It's just one of the dying stars. And the sun is going to be, it's leaving its light, And one day, just like your body form, and just like another body form, it is going to die. It is already in that state. And so the sun is simply a star. It still is just matter. It is going to find death, just as your body will find death. But who are you? You are the energy. You are eternal. You are not dying. You are going to be with or without the sun. And so you are the one that gives energy to the sun. From this eternal source, all of the earth takes its energy. But when we are sitting in that space, when we are the source, we are the one that is giving the energy to all that is around us. So it is we that give energy to the sun. We give energy to the moon. When earlier this line had come to me as an intent that I am the sun, I am the moon, I am the stars, I am the universe, I thought that was the end. Just a second. Give me a minute, please. Okay. So as we said, um, this this place that when, earlier when we were thinking, I am the sun, I am the moon, I am the universe, I thought that was the place, that was the highest place of intent that we could make for ourselves, that we are the entire universe. And now to be sitting with this statement, I give energy to the sun, I give energy to the moon, I give energy to the universe. And from that place, you can actually simply understand the frequency of the source, the frequency of the source, from where the entire energy, all of the energy with all of the frequencies is all emanating and going back to that space, the source space. So anyways, so this happened right in the morning, and I was totally shaken up by it. It was so beautiful to be able to understand this beautiful level of sun is just a star. It's just a star. It's dying just as you and I are. And yet we are the one that are energy. We are the eternal ones. And to be sitting in this space, not just the knowledge of this space, but in the knowing of this space, in the knowing. So anyways, so that was an amazing, amazing line that happened just as I was moving towards Ujjain in the morning of going towards Ujjain. And from that space, when we went to that beautiful, amazing, it was so magnificent, that serpent, that serpent with Shiva sitting underneath it. When we went to that space, and that is the energy that we picked up, the energy that has the knowing, the energy, the frequency that has the knowing that I am indeed the source, that I am the one from where Shiva takes his energy, from where Kali takes her energy. I am that space. So beautiful. So, oh, what is happening here? All right. So then I came to this, so coming to this other story that Yash shared with me yesterday. He said that when he came back from Mahakaal, he found that he was just in a very agitated state. He was in a very agitated state. Yash lives right here. So when I picked up the frequencies, and then I picked up these, I was guided to pick up these snake rings and all of that. And then many went ahead and bought these snake rings as well. So you're like, okay, Meenal has got the frequency, and we are all in her energies. So we are going to do exactly as what she is doing. Action, never important. Action, never important. All the work is happening from the frequencies itself. So Yash noticed that as soon as he got back from Mahakaal, he's like, every single day, I was just overly sensitive, even to my own skin. I was so overly sensitive. And then I was overly agitated. And he said that, a few weeks passed and all of that. And then suddenly one day, when he was so agitated and he was just listening to the chants, he was like, okay, I just want to be, in the chant. I want to be in guidance space more. And as he was listening to the chant, this one very clear order came to him. He'd bought a snake ring and he was wearing it. And it said, take off the snake ring and put it in the temple. Take off the snake ring and go put it over here on the shivling. I have a tiny little shivling, and go and put it over there. Take off your snake ring. And he took off that snake ring. And in 5 minutes, he said, in 5 minutes, he was completely calm. And all of that agitation was gone, and he was completely calm. And I just laughed, because I said, when you receive in guidance yourself, because all of these actions, it's not about wearing a snake ring. I didn't want to wear a snake ring. I wasn't looking at, okay, I should be wearing something like this and then something will happen. No, it was guidance that first came to me saying, do this, buy this ring. And I didn't even run out to buy it so much. I ordered it on Amazon. But very, very quickly, on that day itself, I was wearing another ring, and it was a butterfly ring. And the top of the butterfly broke on that day. And what remained behind was a serpent-looking ring. Really. And I just looked at it and it dawned on me that money is telling me, I don't want to wait for the Amazon delivery to happen. You have to wear that snake ring today. And so he took whatever ring I was wearing and made it into the serpent ring. And he did it. And I was simply following those instructions which were coming from the guidance frequency. When you simply look at something that outside, as an outside action, but your energy is not ready for that space, then you might observe some of these things and then you will get in guidance that, okay, not right now, do it later. I would still say, what is the work that is remaining? What is the work that is remaining? That agitation is probably still there. That frequency still needs to be worked on. And then when you come more towards blankness, then automatically you will be guided. It's not so important that, okay, Meenal is wearing snake now, I must immediately go and order myself a dozen rings. Pointless. It's not about the action that Meenal is taking, but the point is keep taking Meenal energies, because it is the Meenal frequencies that are up there on offer, not what Meenal is wearing and what Meenal is not wearing. Those frequencies belong to you, but how much are you going to empty yourself is how much frequency you can sit in. Don't be in a rush to follow whatever is being done as an outside action. That outside action, especially if you're trying to follow me, that outside action is simply happening because I'm being pushed into that through guidance. And it has no other value. It's not that because I'm wearing the snake ring that I'm moving into the snake frequency. No, this is a reminder. It's a constant reminder of me to be in that awareness that this is my frequency and I'm taking more and more of this. Just as I tell you, put an alarm for 2 hours and remind yourself, I take energy from Meenal. But even before you do that, what do I tell you? Release. Where all are you sitting? First release, create some bandwidth, and then take on more of Meenal frequencies. And so when you're still sitting with something that needs to be released, and then you're like, okay, she's getting into this and I must too, or I will receive more if I do this. Whatever your thought process is, take a look where it's coming from. It's coming from knowledge and not from knowing. It's not coming from inner guidance. It's coming from this outer space of wanting to receive whatever Meenal is receiving. You are receiving already whatever Meenal is receiving. For that matter, you are receiving whatever everyone is receiving. You are the source of it all. But how much awareness of that you have, how much in that space of knowing versus knowledge are you going to sit in? That's where the whole game is. So you up your awareness, ye sab baki sab hota rahega. It will happen on its own. You will receive guidance on your own. You will know what to do on your own, not even looking at outside. Be in the Meenal frequency and not looking at Meenal. Be in the Meenal frequency, but not looking at Meenal. How beautiful is that? It's always something that I say, but it always has to be reminded to everybody. So that is what happened. Then we move. We've already come to 6 o'clock, but the story moves to Aurangabad. Almost instantly, as soon as I finished my trip, I had already made plans. I'd already got this guidance to go to Aurangabad, Ellora, Kailash. I go to Ellora, Kailash. This calling has come to me, I don't know, 5 times before or something. Either this was my 4th trip or my 5th trip, something like that. But every now and then, I'm constantly called over there. And each of the trips, I will not go into the long story about what each of the trips has held for me. I've talked about that many times before. Every time I go to that Shiva gives me something. That, okay, now you have to understand this about your body. You are judging your body. You are judging your lingams. You are doing this. And every time, Or the next time the Shiva had called me to say, I have received love from so many people over so many centuries. It's here with me. You take it. So from Shiva, I picked up all of the love that, people have given to him. And he says, you are ready to take it. You take that love. That love is now yours. You are at that frequency. So another time was that. One of the times when we went, we didn't even get to do the darshan because the doors were closed. It was COVID time and I was called over there and I went with 2 other people and I didn't get to do the darshan, as in I didn't get to go inside. And those 2 were kind of going to feel very, very bad. But I started to laugh. I said, now that you are not going to get inside, do you think you're receiving or you're not receiving? Because it will depend on what you think. If I come out from a temple and say, I didn't meet the main idol, and therefore I didn't receive anything, that becomes my truth. Indeed, I didn't receive anything. But I understand energy. It is everywhere. It is not necessarily at that one idol where the main temple is, not necessary at all. Though actually in this place, in the Ellora Shiva, that's the place where all the energy used to sit. Every time I was guided and just to go sit over there at Ellora Kailash and take the energy from there and take the energy from there. And this time when I went and we didn't get the darshan, I asked in the energies itself, what have you called me for? What is it that you want to give? And why aren't we getting to go inside? And so the answer came, you're not getting to go inside because these programs of going inside and doing some darshan are being broken for these other 2 kids that are with you. And so I laughed and I told them, I said, are you feeling enough? Are you feeling enough disappointed? If you're feeling enough disappointed, then you can break the disappointment, because if we have been called over here, we are bloody receiving. There is no way that we are not receiving. We are receiving. We are receiving because we have been called here. We didn't come here for no reason. Oh, darshan nahi hue. Now we won't get anything out of it. So that happened. On that particular trip, when I asked, what am I here to receive? The Devi said to me, each time you have come to receive from Kailash, today I want to come home with you. Today I want to come home with you. And I was like, okay. And we were driving back and I said, okay, I allow and I receive and, come home with me. And when I was walking in, it's a 10-hour car drive. And just as we were moving into our building, the car is entering the building and I'm just bending down to wear my shoes. And this mantra comes to me. And this is, the mantra is, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mangal Mangalye Sanstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namah. When you look at the word Mangal Mangalye, and then this particular, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu, there are many of these, the stotram, I think it's called Argala Stotram, but that has many forms of the Devi being worshipped. It has Nidra Rupen Sanstita, Matra Rupen Sanstita, it has Chaya Rupen Sanstita. It has so many different forms of the Devi being worshipped, but there is no single mantra over there with the word Mangal Mangalye. And the mantra came to me, Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mangal Mangalye Sanstita. So I said, what is Mangal Mangalye? Who is Mangal Mangalye? And they said, you. The answer came, you. So the frequency of abundance, when you look at it, what is the abundance? It is Mangal Mangal. It is simply, the frequency of everybody being in joy, in masti. That is, usi ko to kehte hai na, Mangal Manana. So the frequency of masti, the frequency of abundance. So the answer that what is Mangal Mangalye? And the answer came, you. And we came home. And within a few weeks to that, I was strongly guided to establish this beautiful, and many of you again have seen the picture of that. It's in my house. When you come to the house, you notice that there's a big, beautiful Devi Pratima that is in wood. And I was guided to actually order that online during the days of lockdown. And that Devi came and she established, and I knew that this is the Devi Mangal Mangalye. She has a name. When I started to look for Devis and I was looking for idols, there was a very clear guidance to me, it'll be wooden and it will be something that will be tall. So 3 feet was the thing that came. The first thing I did when I Googled 3 feet tall, the first murti that showed up when I Googled wooden 3 feet tall Devi, the first murti that showed up was the murti that had to come. And she came. It took some time for her to come, but she came. And that is the murti that is in my house right now. It is the murti of Durga, but not as we know Durga. It is the murti of Durga in a south form. In the southern form, there is Devi Mariamman. I think she's called Mariamma or Mariamman. And that's the form that came to me when I Googled. And that is the form that has been sitting there. And when I was in Ujjain and I'm talking to Mani and I'm saying, wow, what a beautiful thing. I've never seen the Sheshnag on Shiva ever. I've only seen it on Vishnu. And Mani laughs, literally laughs. And he says, yeah, really? You've never seen it? I was like, yeah, I've never seen it. And then in an instant, I was taken to this Durga that I have sitting in my house for the past 2 years. And it's so funny because it's Durga और उसके ऊपर कौन? उसके ऊपर इतना बड़ा शेषनाग. And I'd never looked at the Sheshnag. See, when you're not ready to see the presence, you don't see the presence. All my focus, because I was the frequency of the Devi, my focus was only on the Devi. I never ever noticed that big Nag. I noticed, but it never called out to me. And to the effect that it became inconspicuous. I didn't notice it. I didn't know it was there. And the only thing that I would always be seeing was the Devi. And now Mani says, really, you never noticed the source that is sitting on top of the Devi. And there it was. And when I came back home and I looked at it and I was laughing, I was like, oh my God, this is such a hilarious thing to happen. However, we moved. So I confused the two stories, but I go back this time to Aurangabad, again to Shiva. And I walk in over there. And this time, the thought that comes, the guidance that comes is, this time, it's your turn to give. It's your turn to give your frequency. You are now the source. So I give to Shiva. I give to Shiva. So we all sat down over there and I said to everyone, be in menial frequencies. And if you are in menial frequencies, then I give to Shiva. And if you are not in menial frequencies, then okay, menial energies giving to Shiva. But everybody be in menial frequencies and I give to Shiva. May everyone receive, whoever is there, whoever comes to that Shiva, may everyone receive that beautiful abundance, that beautiful masti, that we are now in the place. We are now in that place to be able to give it, to enhance those Shiva frequencies of non-judgment, and to enhance that and to add to it our little masti to it. So that was the beautiful guidance that came, that this time you are coming to give to Shiva. Many more stories happened. I guess it'll take another webinar because I'm not doing it. The stories of magic. So this was the story of just simply getting to that place and getting the understanding. Not so much the story of miracles. What is the time right now? We are at 6:15. Okay, I take a vote with the first few people. Either we do the meditation or we complete the stories here of miracle. This one big miracle that happened in
Miracle.
Okay. No, I'm not doing both. When I ask for one or two, it's either one or two. So, all right. So miracle is, all right. So we go with this. I think, well, all the parties concerned are also here. We'll also ask them how it went. But, so this is what happened. So we finish Aurangabad. We do the Ellora. And this, for the first time, I'm being asked to go to Ajanta. I've been there so many times and only Kailash calls. But for the very first time, I'm guided to this time go to Ajanta. So like, okay, fine, we'll need a full day because it is 2 hours away from there. So we head towards Ajanta. The driver tells us there's a very nice route over there, which is a very, very picturesque route with a viewpoint and all of that. And that's kind of on the top. And then you'll have to climb all the way to get to the Ajanta caves, or you can go to the place where the parking is and there's a bus to pick you up. And so we all say, no, we'll go with the picturesque point. And so we stop there, we come to that picturesque point, and he shows us that, when you walk down from there, at the bottom, somewhere over there is Ajanta. And we start to walk, and it's a beautiful walk. It's just tiny steps going, winding down. And you can see the caves at some point, but at some point, those caves vanish from your view, and you are at this plateau. But as we came to that plateau, we just all stood still. And I'm going to put the picture, or at least I'm going to share with you. Many of you have already seen it. I've put it everywhere, even on Facebook. I put this picture of this most amazing, picturesque waterfall. There's this beautiful waterfall, which is almost 11 layers. There's water here, and then going up to here, then floating here, then here, then here. There are these 11 layers through which the water is flowing, and all that you hear is the sound of water. And all that you see is green around you. All around you is this amazing, amazing silence and just the sound of water. And almost all of us, we gasped. It was like we had come to heaven. This is heaven. There is no other place. This is heaven. And we all knew it, that right now we are in heaven. I mean, no other place. I've been to so many beautiful places, but this amazing space I have not experienced anywhere. And we were in that space. So everybody quickly, we just wanted to sit over there. So I went and I sat on a stone somewhere in the middle. And, we are on a plateau, and the waterfall is on the other cliff, and it can be very easily seen and heard. On this plateau, because it's a flat plateau, there is a railing. You know how railings are put out. So there's a railing, but the railing is only like two rods, like, one rod and then two rod. And then, they have these little pillars everywhere in the middle. This is just a normal railing, which you would find anywhere. And the vertical pillars underneath them is a square base. And then there is a railing. I'm sure all of you can picture it. Just two big bands and the space in the middle. So easily you can jump out of it. But there's two pieces of railing, and there's verticals every here and there. There's just at a distance to support those railings. Abhilasha is with me. And then the railing also is not all the way through. There's gaps in the railing. So she goes where there is the gap in the railing, and she goes, and on the square piece, on one of those things which are vertical, she goes and sits on the outside of it. On the outside of it, where there is nothing, but then, you get up from there, there's a tiny piece of stone, the rock, and then from there is the fall. That's it, because now you are on the other side of the outer side of the railing. So she goes and she sits over there. Pragati is standing a little bit behind. Pragati is also with me. And well, we're all, there's Adil and Abhilasha and Dipali and me and Pragati. So these are the five of us. And we are there. I'm sitting in the center somewhere, and I'm watching Abhilasha. Adil is standing on one side of the railing, and he's just standing and looking out at the waterfall and meditating. Abhilasha goes and sits on the other side, which is towards the outside. And Pragati is just standing there, 2 steps behind Abhilasha. I look at Abhilasha, and immediately the thought comes to me that when she gets up, she is going to lose her balance and she's going to fall. When you're going to fall in that space, you are at the cliff, and so there is no staying. You're going to go right into that forest and wherever you are going to go. And so the first thought, the immediate thought that comes to me is that I should tell Abhilasha, Abhilasha, don't sit there, be careful, or, come to this side or something. And that's the first tiny thought. But the second, the aware thought that follows immediately is that what frequency am I coming from? And I could see, in that 1 minute, I immediately tuned into the fear frequency. Oh my God, is that going to happen? Is this what is going to happen? So instantly, I just simply let go of that fear or attachment or whatever. And I just simply, I looked at myself and I said, okay, if this is the way she has to go, then this is the way she has to go. Okay, I allow. And I simply sat and I stopped paying attention to what was Abhilasha doing. And I'm doing my own thing. I'm meditating on my own. And suddenly, as I'm meditating, this one line comes to me. And that is to say that we release, everybody, please say that I release all my past lives in this space. I release all my past lives, every life of mine that I have lived, I release in this space, into the waterfall. I release all my past lives. I say those lines and just nothing else, just everybody sitting quietly. No other lines come, just these 1 or 2 lines. I speak these 1 or 2 lines and I go quiet. And then I open my eyes and I'm simply just looking around. And then Abhilasha gets up. Abhilasha gets up. She moves inside. As soon as she moves inside, her foot loses balance. As soon as she moves inside, her foot loses balance and, she immediately topples. But she's inside, so she topples, but it's flat ground. She's inside. And so she doesn't even give it a thought. Her foot, and she is wearing, by the way, she is wearing these 3-inch flat platform heels as we are coming down these mountains. So it's not like she's wearing shoes or something. She's wearing these large 3-inch heels, those flat ones. But as soon as she moves inside, that 3-inch heel goes like this and she topples, but she doesn't fall because it's a fairground and then everybody is around. So she immediately comes back to straight, and I look at it and I laugh because something has shifted here, right? Some energy has shifted. But as I go into guidance, I'm wearing a shawl, and it comes to me that I take that shawl. And so I immediately take out that shawl, and it comes to me, tie 2 knots on it. So I tie 2 knots on that shawl, and I go close to the railing and I hurl the shawl into the, into the woods, whatever, forest, waterfall, whatever you call it, but I hurl the shawl over there. And Adil immediately turns back and looks at me and says, you threw me in there. You threw me in there. And I don't know this story. So he's like, ever since I've stood over here, the line that is coming to me is jump, jump, jump. And then there is a dialogue happening there. Why don't you jump? Why are you judging? Why are you not fearless? Something or the other, but jump, jump, jump. And when he said jump, and I was like, oh my God, there were 2 people who were going to jump off the cliff today. Abhilasha was going to get off the cliff. Adil was going to get off the cliff, in that order, probably, or whatever. But that, and then I didn't know what was going to happen to Pragati. If Abhilasha was going to put out her hand and be with their, if Pragati was right around or something, maybe that was also going to happen. But everything happened. And this was such a parallel play. And I just immediately understood that the energies had just shifted in this moment. Everything that was going to happen, but because I was looking at it and I was able to be without fear, the outcomes outside, how do they change? How exactly things happen, I don't know. But the two people, and then I told Abhilasha, I said, Abhilasha, this foot of yours that went here, it was supposed to go on the outside. When you were outside, that's when your foot was meant to turn, and it didn't turn them. And that's when I was laughing when you came. Abhilasha had another story playing out, as she was sitting on to the other side and meditating. She had another story going on. Is Abhilasha here? Adil is here. I saw Adil. Adil,
Yeah,
Abhilasha.
I am here. I am here.
Okay, okay. So would you like to share what your part of the story was as that
Yeah.
happened?
So you just missed out that when you saw Abhilasha falling off the cliff, you blessed that moment. And you
Yes,
said,
yes.
this is how she has to go. I bless this moment. And that was the most important thing. And I was wondering, what did me meant? And I even asked you, Mats, what happened over there? How did everything change? How, for sure, Abhi was going to fall off the cliff. I was going to jump off the cliff, and how everything has just changed all of a sudden, and the two norths. And while we were driving the to Ajanta, which is an 1 hour drive, Mats played all the MPFY chants. And in the car, I went into a trance. It was like as if I was stoned. I had taken some LSD or something. I was completely into a trance. And in that trance, I see myself falling deep into a valley. And asking Money that why am I falling into this valley? Why are you not lifting me up? And I go deeper and deeper and deeper into the valley and keep on falling in that trance. And when we reached that platform, I told you that this was the valley that I saw while we were going towards Ajanta.
Oh my God. So amazing. So yeah, so I forget, but yeah, in that moment, wherever I was, whatever I was, it's like whatever came to me in guidance, because I caught that, okay, I was just moving into the frequency of fear, but that was just 1 second. That first response was fear, and the second response was, okay, if this is how she has to go, I bless her, I bless this moment. Yes, I remember that part now. But yeah, so amazing. And then he was falling, and I didn't he didn't mention all of this, or maybe he did, but I didn't remember. It's just that when Adil said, Mats, you threw me down over there in that shawl, I was like, oh my God, I made two knots, not one. I made two knots, and now I understand why. I didn't make the knot. My hand moved, it moved to one, it moved to the other, and then I threw the shawl down the valley. So beautiful that was what was meant to happen, and it happened. But in another way, in another form, through the change of energies. So amazing. What was happening with Abhilasha? I don't know the full story, but she said that she had seen that waterfall in one of her sessions. It was a past life regression that she was doing. And she had seen a waterfall, and she had seen that she was falling through a waterfall. And suddenly, as she was falling, she got this vision that she was then coming out of Kali's tongue. So it was a Kali's tongue, and that waterfall became Kali's tongue. And then she was falling off, and then there was Mani with her, or I can't remember because.
Mani, Shiva, and Kali, all three were there with her holding up.
Okay, they were all there holding her. Thank you. You know the story better. I can't remember. But they were all holding her, but she was coming down this waterfall and coming down the Kali tongue and something. And then when she saw the waterfall and she saw this, she's asked, she said, why am I even being called over here? I've seen this before. So if I've already seen this before, if this has already happened, this is such a deja vu moment for me, then why am I even being called here? But that is the moment. And I didn't know because we were all quiet in our own corners. But that is the moment that I called out right from behind and said, this is where you let go of all your past lives. You let go of all the lives that you have lived. This is the moment. This is the place. Let go. And so all of that down into that beautiful, amazing waterfall that we saw. And that is when she was like, oh my God, I was asking this question to myself. And Meenal is telling me why we are here in this moment. And so, yeah, it was a crazy miracle moment that how beautifully the moment of death, it was seen by me, blessed by me, and I actually saw it, but the moment shifted. Again, the moment of death was seen by Adil as to when he's falling, and this is the valley that he's falling into. And then again, that moment shifted. How miraculously, because we were in those energies of, we were in the energies of creation. That's the highest energy of creation. And a new moment got created from those frequencies. We don't understand the hows of it and the whys of it, but we all had goosebumps at the end of this. So it was just an amazing, amazing experience for all of us. That was one big miracle that played out. And here's the fun thing, that for next September, I know it's a long time away, but for next September, that is the place that we are all heading out to. You all have enough notices to apply for leave in the 9th of September weekend, if anybody wants to come along. Okay, everybody, that is my session for the day today with all the stories. Hopefully, all of you have got a taste of the work of energies, all our lessons in the middle of all of that, how we receive, where all we receive from, and all of that. Aurangabad, bache, Aurangabad, Ellora. Ranjan is asking where, and I'm saying Aurangabad, Ellora, and then Ajanta. That's where all of this is going to happen. Let's just see what the chats are looking like. So Sandeep Lal has shared the Sheshnag picture, and then miracle stories. Okay, you all heard his kisses. Okay. All right, everyone. While we don't do the meditation today, but if you can just go back with this one line, the only line to go back with today would be, I give energy to the sun. So that can be your chant. How beautifully right now, the phone is ringing for me to end this session. But yeah, so immediately, if the only one line that you want to go with, I give energy to the sun. Okay, everyone.